once the opportunity arose for him to close the show, he did it in emphatic style.
Whatever he hits falls.
This is UMAR AHMED for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. We're in Las Vegas. It's fight week for your man Guido. Just spoke to him. He was his English is good, but he struggled to say how the link up between you and yourself came about. Just talk me through it.
Look, his English is actually getting better every single day.
It's not bad at all.
He spends at least an hour a day doing English, learning it, reading it. He's like a very intelligent guy, and he is developing a really good intelligence for boxing. It's a young man who I'm really enjoying training. He's very, very coachable. Everything that I show him or ask him to do, he does straight away. And if he doesn't get it right, he'll practice it and practice it. And we've been together now for 6 weeks. And my team, Taylor Barry, Robert Lamson, we've all really enjoyed the 6 weeks with Guido, and I think it's going to be the start of a really nice relationship. I see a lot of potential here. I see a young man that I think ticks all the boxes, and as long as we take our time, make the right moves with him. He's got a very good manager in Sam Jones. He's got a tremendous promotional team and Top Rank behind him. They saw the potential early, and happy to be part of this team.
Okay, so yeah, you've gone from previously training just solely Joe to now another heavyweight. How have you found that?
Well, actually, the last 2 months have been very, very busy here in my gym. I've been training 3 Russian fighters who actually flew back to Chechnya this morning. I've had UMAR Salamov, the WBO international champion, the number 3 ranked fighter in the world with the WBO. He's been preparing for a big fight in Chechnya, where my son Taylor actually leaves the day after Guido's fight to fly to Chechnya to corner the 3 Russian fighters that we've just been training.
Okay.
But look, you know, this gym here where we train in Vegas was put together for Joe. Joe and I have been together 7 years, and we've had a lot of success, and we have a very tight relationship. Guido and Joe have become very good mates in a very short time. You know, Joe's just completed his first 2 weeks in Las Vegas. Guido's living in my house along with Joe. You know, the two of them, they train at different times, but they also cross over. They do yoga together, they swim together. You know, they socialize together, and in fact, you know, Joe's very excited about this week. You know, as Guido builds up to his fight at the T-Mobile Arena on Saturday. You know, we've got a public workout tomorrow at the MGM that Joe's changed his training around so he can be there with Guido. And he said he wants to be at the press conference. He wants to be involved. He's going to be in the dressing room, and he's excited, very excited. That shows you the bond that they've established in a very short time.
I'm not surprised at that, because I know Joseph and Tyson are very close mates, and Tyson and Guido are very close mates.
Yeah.
So it was inevitable that Joe and Guido would get on.
Yes, no, it was actually really strange, very, very, not strange, but it was, for me, it was very, very pleasing. Joe and I have had a tremendous relationship for the last 7 years. He's been like a son to me and a brother to Taylor. And you know, Guido's come into our family. I remember Sam Jones saying to me, look, this is the first class young man, you're going to really like him. And I said, well, at this particular stage of my career, you know, I'm not prepared to train anyone I don't like, and let alone bring them into my house or into my gym. And you know, we've really enjoyed the first 6 weeks with Guido, and I see a lot of good things in the future.
Okay, good stuff. We look forward to his journey continuing on Saturday night. Away from Guido, there was obviously a press conference in London today. The main event for that fight is obviously Josh Taylor and Regis Prograis, but Dereck Chisora'S seems to think otherwise. Your just reaction to the clips from today's presser?
Oh, I thought it was priceless. And in fact, Joe showed it to me first thing this morning. He said, "Gosh, have you seen what's been going on?" And we both had a chuckle. You know, look, Chisora'S a character. There is no doubt about that. It's a guy that he's very well known and very well liked in the UK. He's fought his last 5 fights at the O2 Arena. It's a guy who's fought some very, very big names, and he's had some highs and lows, and right now at the age of 35 he's sort of rejuvenated and reinvented himself, and he's had a couple of tremendous knockouts in the last 18 months, knocking out Carlos Takam and and then Artur Spilka, knocking him out sensationally in his last fight, which he has really captured the imagination of the British boxing fans. And look, Dereck Chisora will always be outspoken, and he's one of those sort of guys you never really know what's going to come out of his mouth. But for me, I think it's fantastic. He's selling our fight. He's creating a lot of attention for our fights, and this fight between Joseph Parker and Chisora is a real big fight. This is a real boxing fans fight. This is a fight that we've wanted for a long time. This is a fight that I believe a lot of boxing fans are very excited about. Over the last 2 years, we've had 3 big fights in the UK. Joe now has a very good name in the UK. We have a solid fan base there. People know that with Joe Parker, he'll fight anyone. He's not going to talk about it. He's going to let his hands speak for himself in the ring. And this is the fight that I believe, fighting a Dereck Chisora in his home backyard of the O2 Arena, is a fight where we plan on making a really big statement. We came up short in a massive fight with Anthony Joshua. We had a controversial loss to Dillian White. We had a solid points victory that defended Joe's WBO title against Huey Fury. This is at the age of 27, and right now coming off 2 good knockout wins, this is the right time for us, and we're going to make a statement at the O2 Arena.
Before we talk about the fight itself, just back to Dereck's comments today, do you believe that should be the main event?
Of course I do. I think Joseph Parker deserves to be the main event. You look at Joe's credentials. And okay, Dereck, as I mentioned before, he's coming off a couple of great wins. He's sort of rejuvenated. He's got a big fan base. But you look at Joe, Andy Ruiz, who beat Joshua. The only person to beat Andy Ruiz is Joseph Parker, who he defeated in December of 2016 to win the WBO belt. Joe has a lot of good names on his resume, and yes, he does. He deserves to be headlining. We signed a promotional agreement with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, and that's the promoter. And if they say that we're the co-main, then we're the co-main. But yeah, in answer to your question, yes, I do think that Joe deserves to be the main event.
Yeah, well, we've seen on Twitter today, it's been mixed. Some fans saying that fight deserves to be main event, just simply because how well known Dereck and Joseph are, and it's a heavyweight clash. Some are saying obviously it's a unification bout between Regis and Josh,
which is a great fight.
Oh yeah,
against 2 very, very skillful fighters. Both guys. Look, do they deserve to be the main event? Of course they do. They're both champions. They're fighting for the Ali Cup. It's a big, big deal. Anyone that fights for the Ali Cup is a very, very accomplished fighter. So look, they deserve to be the main event. But in answering your question, I think Joseph Parker and Chisora is a main event at any stadium in the UK.
Yeah, fight itself. Dereck's in very high spirits. He sort of on our channel today said he's going to smoke Joe. How's Joseph looking? All good?
Joe's looking great. This is a very determined, a very focused Joseph Parker. This is a young man that came back into training camp 2 weeks ago, weighing 110 kilograms. That's his fight weight. He came, last week in the gym he was 107 after training one day. Joe's in very good shape. Joe's very excited about this fight. We like the style of Dereck Chisora. We're well aware of how strong he is and how rugged he is and how powerful. He's a very heavy-handed guy and a very physical fighter. But he's also the type of fighter that will bring out the best in Joseph Parker. And that's what excites me, and that's what excites Joe.
Do you think Joe's going to be too skillful,
Dereck? I know Joe's too skillful for Dereck. You know, I don't think Dereck won't know. He won't know where the punches are coming from.
Right. Okay.
You know, we have very, very fast hands, and you know, Dereck made a comment that when the gloves come off, saying that he thinks Joe's going to run. I can tell you this: Joe ain't going to run.
Okay.
Joe's a skillful boxer, but he's also a skillful fighter. And this fight is going to be won and controlled by calculated boxing and fighting.
So back end of last year, we saw Dereck get stopped by Dylan White. Do you believe that Joseph will stop Dereck on the 26th of October?
I think if Joe hits him clean, he'll knock him cold.
Well, okay. That would be a big statement as well, because I know he got.
I just said to you before, we are here to make a statement. This is a statement fight for us. For our commerciality, not just in the UK, but in the world of heavyweight boxing, we have to win this fight, and we have to win it impressively. You know, this is not a sport where you're in it for the fun. This is a business, and Joe realizes that, you know, we must win this fight, because this fight will put us very close to being back in the conversation for a heavyweight title fight. Look, it's a bit of a mess at the moment. There are mandatories coming after the Joshua Ruiz fight. There's the Wilder Fury fight, but you know, you've got to get your hand raised, and you've got to stay in shape, and you've got to be ready to be able to step up at any time. And Andy Ruiz knows that.
Two questions on the future. Obviously, all being well with Joseph on the 26th, he comes through that fight. Andy Ruiz made some comments a while back that he wants that rematch with Joseph Parker. Do you truly believe
he can have it?
Do you believe he does though? Because
no, I do, because I think, look, Andy, I tell you what, Andy's a real fighter, and Andy's a very proud man. And look, Andy, we always knew that when that fight took place in December of 2016, that those two guys would fight again. And when Andy became champion, I just thought, oh, that's fantastic. You know, imagine if they could fight for a title. But whether it's for a title or not for a title, I'm fairly confident that Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz will enter the ring together again before the end of their careers.
Okay. On that rematch with Joshua Ruiz, double-edged question, I guess. Firstly, what do you make of it being in Saudi Arabia? Raise the eyebrows at the location of that, and secondly, how do you see it going?
Well, you know, I think it's obviously money had a lot to do with that decision. And, you know, for the promoters of an event like that, it costs a lot of money. Both fighters want a lot of money. The logistics of a massive fight like that are expensive. So, you know, when the offer was presented, it didn't surprise me that it went there. You know, I'm reading stories that they're saying that this could possibly be, you know, become a boxing haven in the future. I know that the world audience will be watching, so, you know, for Saudi Arabia, it's a chance to really step up and make a big statement. I think the fight's going to be a great fight. I don't believe that the same Anthony Joshua will enter the ring who entered the first fight. In photos and videos already, he looks like he's lost a bunch of muscle. He's going to be a lot more mobile. I made a statement straight after Ruiz's win, and you probably remember you were in New York. Before the fight, I gave Andy a big chance, and I said that this is insane that people are looking past him, because, you know, this guy should be in everyone's top 10. But then after the fight, I also made a comment, and I said, I bet Anthony Joshua, when he has an opportunity to sit down and have a look, would like to have that. Would like to be able to replay the third round when he had Ruiz down, instead of recklessly running in with no respect for him, just to be calculated and take his time. It might have been a different story. And I saw Joshua came out just recently in the paper, I think yesterday, and said that he plans on being a lot more patient this time, making far better decisions. I thought his decision making was very reckless in the first fight.
Last question, on Saudi Arabia and the Middle East in general. Again, if Joseph comes through October 26th, you said that the mega fights could be, in touching distance. How would you feel about boxing Joe somewhere like Saudi Arabia, Dubai, somewhere in the Middle East?
Oh, Joe and I have talked about it. We would love to fight there.
Right.
Why would you not?
There's a lot of reasons to fight
No,
there.
look, boxing's a global business. And if there's a new exciting stage, I'm not one of these guys who dwells on politics. We're in the sport for the sport of boxing. And if it's going to promote the sport of boxing, then I'm all in.
I think it's a bit unfair, these questions that are coming at Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua and
very unfair.
About, the laws and the culture in Saudi Arabia. What's it got to do with
that? Nothing to do with them whatsoever.
Yeah, whoever pays the most gets
Yeah.
the fight. I mean, why do fights go to Vegas?
Yeah, they're not there to promote the laws. They're there to promote the sport of boxing.
Exactly. All right, Kevin, thank you very much for your
Always
time.
my pleasure to be on IFL.
Allowing me to come to the gym today, and we'll see you throughout the week with Guido. Top man, thank you. Cheers, Kevin.
Once the opportunity arose for him to close the show, he did it in emphatic style.
Whatever he hits falls.